Another beautiful evening on your program, Meet Your Governor. It is a platform where you get to have your governor, the Ekiti State Governor, Dr. Fayemi, before you to take questions, messages, and calls from you and give responses on the running of the affairs of the state. I am Olu Pokuola, the regular anchor, and Your Excellency, thanks for coming once again.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, sir. My colleagues are here too to ask questions on the lips of many on the streets. Akin Ogmola from TVC.
Welcome, viewers and listeners from radio.
And we have Oluyinka Shoyemi Alari. You're listening and watching us live from the studios of the Broadcasting Service of the State, comprising EKTV Channel 41 and FM Radio 91.5. You can pick us loud and clear from Progress FM 100.5, Voice FM 89.9, Ayoba FM 95.1, and NTA, all in Advocate. And to our listening on those states, tune to Adaba FM 88.9. You will give us a while to have one-on-one with the governor for us to ask questions on your behalf. After that, we have the floor, and the port will be open for your calls and messages. Let me quickly read out the numbers for calls. 08065226145. If you want to make a call, do that through 08065226145. And for text, we have about three numbers. The first one is 08038277023. And the second is 081-1266-7901. And the last one, 081-65-999-807. Your Excellency, we welcome you once again. And we congratulate you on the induction today of the 43 medical doctors, the first set of the State University.
Thank you very much. It's a historic day for all of us, particularly for the new doctors, their parents, and our well-wishers. It's a thing of joy, and I want to commend them for their tenacity, their perseverance, and their focus. And I believe that they will be of great service to the state. And as you heard today, some of them have already been offered internship by the teaching hospital. I think that's a positive development. But the state has also promised them that when they eventually finish with their internship and their youth service, they have jobs waiting for them here in Ekiti.
Alari.
Lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ètò ẹ̀kọ́ yìí náà ni nǹkan tó dùn mọ́ ọ̀pọ̀ èèyàn nínú ni ìlérí pé ẹ máa dá àwọn iléèwé kan padà fún àwọn ìjọ ẹlẹ́sìn. Àwọn èèyàn fẹ́ mọ ìgbà wo ni ó máa gbéra sọ, àwọn àǹfààní wo tó dẹ̀ wà nínú ẹ̀ fún ètò ẹ̀kọ́ nípìnlẹ̀ Èkìtì.
Ètò yìí ò kì í ṣe ètò tuntun tí ó bá ìjọba wa ní sáà kejì tí mo dé orí àlééfà. A ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti ìgbà tí mo ti wà lórí àlééfà ní sáà kìíní. Nígbà tí ìjọba tó dẹ̀ tẹ̀lé wa tán dé orí àlééfà, àwọn náà wọn ò dá dúró, wọ́n ṣe ojúṣe wọn, wọ́n fi kùlùkù pẹ̀lú iléèwé tí ó kọ́kọ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ lẹ́kìtì fún àwọn ọmọ secondary, ìyẹn iléèwé Christ Buwadu Èkìtì. Àmọ́ wọn ò parí ẹ̀, ìyẹn ló mú wa bẹ̀rẹ̀ nígbà tá a tún padà sórí àlééfà. Àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ tó dẹ̀ nínú ni pé àwọn tí ó bá ní àwọn iléèwé wọ́n láti bi wá pé àwọn fẹ́ àwọn iléèwé náà padà. Wọ́n dẹ̀ fún wa ní ìlànà tí wọ́n fẹ́ fi máa tọ́jú àwọn iléèwé yìí tí á bá ìlànà tìjọba mu. Ní ọ̀dọ̀ tiwa gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìjọba, àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ kan náà wà tó yẹ pé à ń gbé nípa ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn olùkọ́ láwọn iléèwé yìí. Ní ìbẹ̀rẹ̀, àwa náà la ṣì máa san owó àwọn olùkọ́ títí dìgbà tí àsìkò á tó fún àwọn tó ní iléèwé àdáni tẹ́lẹ̀ wọ́n á lè gba iṣẹ́ yẹn ṣe. A sì tún fi owó gbé grant sí orí ọmọ kọ̀ọ̀kan tí ó bá wà ní àwọn iléèwé yìí. Àmọ́ ìwọ ní ọ̀rọ̀ ìmọ́tótó, ọ̀rọ̀ ìkóra ẹni níjàánu, ọ̀rọ̀ ìtọ́jú àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ ìyẹn máa wà lọ́wọ́ àwọn tí wọ́n ní àwọn iléèwé yìí. Àwọn ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ tó dẹ̀ tí mo ti rí tí wọ́n ti fi ránṣẹ́ sí wa yàtọ̀ sí àwọn ìjọ Anglican, àwọn Methodist tí wá rí mi, àwọn mo rò pé àwọn Asárudé ni mi ò mọ dájúdájú àwọn tó jẹ́ nísìnyí. Àmọ́ àwọn tó ní ọlá Olúwa, àwọn náà ti kọ̀wé sí mi pé àwọn fẹ́ gba ilé ìwé wọn padà. So ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ lára àwọn tí wọ́n ti dá ní àwọn iléèwé kí ìjọba àpapọ̀ tó gbà wọ́n ní bí ọdún 40 ọdún ó lé sẹ́yìn ni wọ́n ti ń fi ìdùnnú wọn pé àwọn náà fẹ́ gba iléèwé wọn padà. Àmọ́ kì í ṣàkọ́kọ́ rẹ̀ lórílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà. Wọ́n ti ṣe nǹkan tá à ń ṣe nípínlẹ̀ Èkó, wọ́n ti ṣe nípínlẹ̀ Anambra, wọ́n ti ṣe ní àwọn ìpínlẹ̀ bíi mélòó kan tí a lè rí pé ó jẹ́ kí àwọn iléèwé yẹn kan múná lóko sí.
Okay.
Yes, I also have a question on education. Your government plans to establish 7 new secondary schools named after some prominent people. Four schools. And the takeoff time, as announced, was this academic session, September. But my investigation shows that in some of these places, only the site has been cleared as we are talking. So what's the assurance that this will be feasible by September?
Well, I don't think we ever gave any definitive certainty that the schools would take off in September. Don't forget that the decision to establish the new school was informed by the heavy population of students in those particular areas that were identified, and naming them after illustrious Ekiti prominent citizens. It's just a positive gesture on the part of government that if you've done well, if you've served the state, there is no reason why we should not honor you with gratitude. And one such honor would be to name government institutions after such illustrious. So what I can assure you is that the process is on. It's been approved by the State Executive Council. We have already advertised for the construction of those schools, and this will be accelerated once that process is completed. So I want our people to rest assured that we will not make a pledge if we will not implement and fulfill our pledge. We're very clear about this, and we know that it's something that is needed. It's not just a vanity project. It's something that is absolutely important in those areas where we've experienced spillover of student population. That's why we are establishing this new schools there.
Yes, and still on education excellency. Master Daniel looked where he seen as one lucky dude he lived today. And February 3 when he or let me say, he shared his desk and lunch with you, which you reciprocated by inviting him over, and you asked him if he would want to be the governor. Now, education is Your Excellency, you've upped his game, actually upped it. And we know that most successful people roll on the shoulders of giants.
could I have something on that
On
also?
Daniel too. Well, I
On
know that
Daniel.
Daniel has become very popular in the city,
On
so
Daniel. Earlier before Daniel, there was this agent woman that came into your office. You saw him on telly and you invited him over. Daniel too was your friend. Yeah. So what's my question really is, what's the message you are sending by these uncommon visitors? They are not the usual visitors at the seat of power.
well, I don't know if I'm sending any special message beyond saying that the seat of power belongs to all citizens of it. They should have access ordinarily if there's any reason for them to come there, but particularly in relation to the mother who spoke when I was there last month on Meet Your Governor. She said a couple of things that touched me. You would recall that she said she only had 100 naira as she was being interviewed that day, and she had two kids who had graduated from school but had no job. In spite of that, she was very positive about what she felt the government had done in looking after the elderly with our social security benefit scheme and requesting that I should relaunch the social security benefit scheme that we operated during my first time in office. I mean, I thought she gave credit where credit was necessary, but she also highlighted concerns which she had, but also which may apply to others. And I thought it would be useful to invite her and listen to her a little bit more and then see what I could do to assist two children who had graduated from school. So it was not any special, I guess there may be several people like her, but I listened to her. So that was the advantage she probably had. Daniel was a little different. Daniel, when we launched the school feeding program and the vice president was there, you would recall the vice president and I went into the classroom. And I don't know how the teachers did it, but I ended up sitting with Daniel. And when I sat with him, he was a very precocious kid, actually. I asked him a couple of questions even before we started eating. And I guess one, he wasn't quite sure who I was. And it's a bit humbling. I'm the governor of the state, and here was this 7-year-old who does blah blah. Who is this person? Why is he sitting next to me? What's the trick? And I said, well, no, okay. I said, would you be my friend? He said, who are you? I said, well, I'm the man who lived on that building on top of the hill. He said, oh, you are the governor. I said, so you know the governor lives on the hilltop. I said, okay, yes. So will you come and greet me? I said, well, I'll have to ask my mother. And two, would you allow me to, if I decided that I was going to come and greet you? So it's not the kind of conversations I have with people. People are sycophantic around men and women of power, but Daniel couldn't even care less who this person was. It was more like, let me face my food. This discussion you are having with me really, it's a distraction. I mean, this is the first time we are eating free food in school, and it would have been good to let me eat this food. But he ended up not even coming. Later, I realized that by the time Daniel informed his mother probably just thought, oh, this was just fake news. It couldn't have been the case. And then one day I saw his photograph again on a social media posting, and I asked one of my aides that, what happened? This boy was supposed to come and see me. So they eventually went to fetch him. And it happens like that in life. You would all recall that Bill Clinton, who ended up becoming the president of the United States, this was how he met President John F. Kennedy when he was age 12. And that planted something in his mind to also end up being the president. And it happened. So for me, I think it's more to do with um, giving inspiration, giving hope, and letting the younger generation know that they can reach whatever heights they want to reach. Once they're focused and determined and they do what is required of them in school, then we also owe them a duty to ensure that they become the best that they can be. I hope something has been planted in Daniel. He promised me that he will continue to do well in school. I intend to be a monitor of his progress as I informed his mother. And all the kids like Daniel are out there. We have a duty. The school feeding program itself is to ensure that we keep as many of them in school rather than them dropping out of school due to lack of food or opportunities that their parents could provide. Government has a duty. That's really the only lesson that this should send to the kids.
School
Yes,
feeding, sir.
before we leave that,
School
society,
feeding.
actually something has been planted in him, but we're not come to the giant part. Because anything about the giant part.
What's the giant?
That most successful people rode on the back of giants, and you're ready to be this giant.
Oh, I just told you that I would monitor him as much as I can. Yes, generally, most successful people in life also have mentors. They have people who they look up to, people who have assisted them in one form or another. So there's nothing strange about this, but having mentors does not detract from you doing what is required of you. You must also ensure that you live up to expectation of your mentors in order to gain their support.
Okay.
Yeah, and the school feeding you mentioned, sir. We know it's for primaries 1 to 3. Currently enjoying that the federal government and the state government reduce. But what we got on the field is that we believe that the whole school should, everybody should participate.
Well, we're exploring that. We're exploring the possibility of extending it to the next three levels, primaries 4 to 6. But what the statistics, what the evidence shows, is that the dropout rate is higher at the lower level. If you don't keep kids in school between primary 1 and primary 3, the likelihood of them dropping out is higher than the likelihood of them dropping out from primaries 4 to 6. And we've already started seeing that the dropout rate that we witnessed in Ekiti in the last 4 years is changing. We're having more people come to school. If it got to the point of us realizing that we are risking losing more children, more pupils in school between primaries 4 to primary 6, we will revisit it and extend the school feeding program to the next level as well.
You got
ẹ ṣe ọlọ́lá gómìnà lórí ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn agbálẹ̀ agbègbè tí wọ́n ń pè ní street sweepers. Wọ́n ní sáà ní àkọ́kọ́ ẹgbẹ̀rún mẹ́wàá lẹ́nu kọ̀ọ̀kan gbà. Nígbà tí ìjọba àná dé wọ́n gé sí méjì ó di ẹgbẹ̀rún márùn-ún. Wọ́n ní ẹ ti ṣèlérí fáwọn láti tún dá ìgbà padà. Kí ni ìgbésẹ̀ ìjọba lórí ọ̀rọ̀ yìí?
Mo mọ̀ pé alákòóso ètò àwọn tó ń gbálégbádé ní ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì ń ṣiṣẹ́ lé lórí. Mo lè pé láìpẹ́ láì jìnnà wọ́n á gbòòrò láti ọ̀dọ̀.
Yeah, Your Excellency, let's go to labor issues now. We know that workers are getting excited over the delay in the implementation of the new minimum wage, threatening to withdraw from further negotiation and to resume the suspended strike. As the chairman of the Governors Forum, what intervention can you give?
Well, governors have given their own commitment commitment. We were part of the negotiations when it occurred. The president also set up a minimum wage review committee chaired by Mr. Bismarck Rewane. You would recall that that committee also produced a report. There is no uncertainty around government's commitment. It's been signed into law. So government definitely would honor the law as is. The issue, and I think I've said this in your studio before, the issue that needs to be addressed fundamentally by workers and employers is one clear issue. Is a minimum wage review also a general wage review? What do I mean by that? Minimum wage applies to those who are earning anything under 30,000 now. It doesn't apply to people who, or it should not apply to people who are earning above that. However, because the increase is going to have an implication on those who already earn above 30,000, there necessarily ought to be some adjustment to make provision for that shift. That is where the sticky point is. From what I gather, federal government that is supposed to provide the templates for implementation of the minimum wage review has offered a general increase of, I think, 5% to workers that may not fall within the minimum wage category, but who might be affected by the increase that the junior workers would benefit from once the minimum wage comes into play. I think this is really the area where there's a bit of a difference on the part of the minimum wages and salaries commission and the labor union leader. As far as we are concerned in Ekiti, I've met with the union leaders and I've reassured them that once we get the template, difficult as it might be for us, we are committed to honoring the minimum wage review that we have signed up to in the Governors Forum. And I can assure you that my colleagues in the Governors Forum are also committed to doing this. However, we have a bigger issue, which does not necessarily apply to workers. It's about reordering the revenue allocation formula in the country, because you cannot continue to impose on states a tyranny of unfunded mandates. If you want us to take responsibility for certain things, then it's only fair that we're funded to take responsibility for it. So right now, 52% of the Nigerian resources goes to the federal government, 26% to state governments, 20% to local governments. We have some general funds that take the remaining 3 or 4% that is not allocated to any of these 3 categories that I've mentioned. And we feel that that ought to be revisited and the allocation formula needs to be reviewed. I believe that's also one of the recommendations of the Bismarck Rewane Minimum Wage Committee. So quite apart from what we do in terms of honoring the law that has been signed by President Buhari, we have a bigger issue to address. But the ability of the federal government and the federation account to also respond to this would depend largely on the capacity of the Nigerian state to generate more resources. So everybody has a role to play in baking the pie. if we want the pie, to provide the resources that would be available to all Nigerians, particularly workers.
Okay.
Yes, I'd like to take you to business.
Business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, your government is interested in bringing entrepreneurs business to investment in Ekiti. And Promasido, makers of cowbell, has shown interest. Actually, it has signed an MOU with your government. But I want to remind you that the previous government also saw Ikun dairy as a colossal waste and took some steps. So my question, but it failed. My question is, what is the safety valve this time that this move will be fruitful?
Well, thank you very much. I'm sure you know, if by the previous government you're referring to the Engineer Shegun administration, because I think that's the only government that I know, not the immediate past government. The Engineer Oni administration took a step. I don't want to say that the step they took was ill-informed or ill-advised. The difference between the step taken there and what we're doing now is simply that our own is not a government initiative. They procured the cattle all the way from South Africa. They tried to manage it on their own when it came. And clearly, the cattle did not find a conducive environment here to survive. And that's what led to the difficulty that we experienced with that. Unfortunately, what we're doing with Promasido, we're making the facility available, the equipment available, and we are providing security. Every other thing is Promasido's business. It's a pure business relation with Fountain Holdings, not with Ekiti State government. So, and the only thing is that the climate is good for that now, in the sense that the Central Bank of Nigeria is fully behind this initiative by discouraging continued importation of milk products. And this is not just Promasido. As Promasido entered into agreement with us in Ekiti, Friesland Campina, which is even a bigger entity than Promasido, is entering the same partnership with Niger State. So, and this is on the back of the support intervention fund that the Central Bank of Nigeria is willing to provide for investors who are keen to do this. Oh, Promasido has come to look at our facility. They were impressed with the facility. They know that they would be able to turn it around, and we're eager to see this happen in the shortest possible time. So the difference clearly is that it's their business, but we will support in providing an enabling environment for Promasido to be able to operate in Ekiti State.
I know it's a job creation opportunity for
Clearly.
What are other advantages? What's the need for Ekiti?
What is the need for Ekiti? Well, if you know that area, I believe that it's going to be a trigger of other activities. It's a very, very rich part of our state. That's where you have the Rodan. The Eco facility itself is actually fully equipped, although it's been largely abandoned and moribund for several years. And it will take minimal effort, I believe, to resuscitate it, make it work. They're going to bring a cattle, but it's also going to provide an opportunity for other herders, other cattle herders, to rear their cattle. So all of these issues that have generated all kinds of tension in the nation over the last 2 weeks, whether you call it ruga, or you call it rural grazing area, or you call it ranch, I think we are talking about one thing. How do we ensure that we have a space, an enclosed space, for cattle to be reared, for them to have grazing land, for them to have water, veterinary service, milking pots, and a whole range of facilities that will reduce tension between farmers and herders. and in addition provide employment for our own local people. I believe these are the additional benefits that will come from the Pomasido initiative.
For about 30 minutes now, we've been having one-on-one with the State Governor, Dr. Khalid Fayemi, on your program, Meet Your Governor. We are going on a break now. We'll be back. Thanks for still keeping tabs on us on your program, Meet Your Governor. Your Excellency, we listen to comments from the streets. We call you, we call you, we refer to you as a special being, exceptional being. Well, I want you to say something about the last thing that the man said, the last comment he made about salary. That the promise people talk salary. What do you have to tell the workers about salary?
There's nothing special to tell the workers about salary. A laborer deserves his wage, and that's why we've made it a duty to ensure that workers and their salaries as when due, so that they can plan their life, they can plan their situation. Part of the problem that we met on ground when we came into office in October 2018 was that workers had not received salaries in some cases for upward about 10 months. So how do you plan your life if you don't even know when your next salary is going to come? But that has become a thing of the past now. In the course of that period, we also said we will clear the arrears of workers, outstanding arrears owed to workers by the previous administration. And we're on course to doing that. I gave a year of clearing arrears, and we're working seriously to ensure that we will clear the arrears and honor, as we've always done. I don't think we've missed the boat. We've made sure that workers earn their salary every month since I came into office. That has not changed. So, but I don't think this is extraordinary anyway. That is what it should be. We really shouldn't get ourselves too taken in by the fact that this happened. I know Ekiti people are appreciative because this was a problem in the past. But really, if you work, you should be paid. It shouldn't be a big deal. It's not something to praise the governor for, frankly. And I'm not being modest about it. I just think it's a duty. It's not a favor done to workers. What they need to do in response is ensure that the level of productivity increases so that people can also feel the impact of their of the improvement in and the regular payment of their salaries. To whom much is given, as they say, much is also expected.
Yes, Your Excellency, before we went on that break, we are talking about business plan for Ekiti State. And I want to ask, do you have any plan for Ekiti Mass Transit?
Well, for us, really, we have two things. We believe that transport, public transport, so to speak, is a private business. It is something to be driven by the private sector. However, we believe that for schools, for workers, just as I did in my first term, it may be necessary to provide regular public transport that can convey them back and forth from work. But most importantly for us, we think what is key is to ensure that there is an enabling environment for public transporters by improving the quality of our roads, by providing them with services that would enable them to also reduce what is charged to users of public transport. And don't forget that one of the things I did coming into office was to ensure that the roads, particularly in Ado-Ekiti, the capital, received attention so that public transport owners would not keep spending their time in the mechanic's workshop without any reprieve from government. So that is clearly the approach we've taken to public transportation.
Okay. Ẹ ṣe ọlọ́wà gómìnà lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ètò ààbò tó ti di nǹkan ìbẹ̀rù fáwọn èèyàn nípínlẹ̀ yìí àti káàkiri ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà. Ẹ ti ṣèpàdé pẹ̀lú àwọn gómìnà, àwọn lọ́balọ́ba nílẹ̀ yìí àti àwọn ilẹ̀ Yorùbá mi. Kí ni báwo níbo ni ètò ààbò ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì dé dúró nílànà ìkówójọ ètò ààbò yẹn Social Security Fund, Security Trust Fund àti ikọ̀ ààbò ará àṣàṣà Rapid Response Squad. Àwọn èèyàn fẹ́ mọ ibi tí ètò ààbò ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì dé dúró.
Inú mi dùn fún ìbéèrè tẹ̀lé lórí ètò ààbò torí nǹkan kan tí mo mọ̀ pé ó jẹ àwọn èèyàn wa lọ́kàn tí a sì ní láti kọbi ara sí ní gbogbo ọ̀nà. Ní àkọ́kọ́, àbádòfin tí a gbé kalẹ̀ lórí trust fund tẹ́sán ó ti di òfin. Ibi tí iṣẹ́ wà lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ni pé ká yan àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ àti àwọn tí ó máa bá wa mójútó ètò àti wá owó fún ètò ààbò tí òfin yẹn ní í ṣe pẹ̀lú. Nípa ti àwọn aláàbọ̀ wàràṣàṣà tí ẹ sọ, tí ẹ bá lọ sí Ìyèmẹ̀rọ̀ ní bí mo ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí, ẹ rí ilé tí a kọ́ fún àwọn aláàbò síbẹ̀ torí Ìyèmẹ̀rọ̀ ní agbègbè tí àwọn tí wọ́n ń ṣe tó ń fa wàhálà fún àwọn tó lóko ibẹ̀ náà ń gbà wọlé jù tí ó dẹ̀ ń fa ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ èdè àìyedè láàrin àwọn èèyàn wa àti àwọn tó ń darun. Àti ṣe ìgbẹ̀kùn fún àwọn aláàbò síbẹ̀, àṣekọ́lé fún wọn síbẹ̀ tán tí ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ ni wọ́n máa gbé láti lè máa mójútó gbogbo sàkáání yẹn ní bí mo ṣe ń bá yín sọ̀rọ̀. Àtúnṣerú ẹ̀mí náà sí Ìwàràjà ní àtijáde kúrò l'Èkìtì lọ sí ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun. A dẹ̀ ṣe ìjọba mẹ́fẹ̀ẹ̀fà ní ilẹ̀ káàárọ̀-o-jíire. A ṣèpàdé ní Àkúrẹ́ ní ọ̀sẹ̀ tó kọjá tí gbogbo àwọn gómìnà dẹ̀ péjú pésẹ̀ síbẹ̀ nígbà tí nǹkan tá a dẹ̀ sọ náà ni pé alátiṣe ló ń máa ti ṣe ara ẹ̀. Lóòótọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ ètò ààbò ọ̀rọ̀ ìjọba àpapọ̀ ni torí ìjọba àpapọ̀ ló lọ́lọ́pàá. Àmọ́ gbàjarè táwa ń ké ni pé àsìkò ti tó fún ìpínlẹ̀ kọ̀ọ̀kan lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan káwọn náà bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ipa tí wọ́n ń kó ní ètò ààbò pàápàá jùlọ ní pé káwọn náà ní ọlọ́pàá tiwọn ní ìpínlẹ̀ wọn. A sì ń bá ìjọba àpapọ̀ jíròrò lórí eléyìí, mọ̀ pé dájúdájú jíròrò wa á yọrí sí bí a ṣe fẹ́ kó rí. A lè tún láìpẹ́ ẹ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí rí àwọn kọ̀ọ̀kan Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn lè rí lára wọn tí àwọn aláàbò wa tí wọ́n máa fi ṣọ́ gbogbo ọ̀nà láti Èkó dé Ògùn dé Ọ̀yọ́ títí d'Èkìtì. Ara àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ tí àwa gómìnà mẹ́fẹ̀ẹ̀fà tí a ti gbé nìyẹn láti lè jẹ́ kí ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kí ó lè lọ. Nítorí tí ò bá sí ààbò, àwọn ọmọ tá a fẹ́ kí wọ́n wá náwó wọn l'Èkìtì àbí ní Oǹdó àbí ní ibikíbi, ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn á mẹ́hẹ díẹ̀. A dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé tí ọ̀rọ̀ ààbò bá ti kúrò nínú nǹkan tí ó ń bà àwọn èèyàn wa lẹ́rù, kò sí sàkáání kankan tí gbogbo wa ò lè dé kí a dẹ̀ mójútó ààbò oníkálukú.
Okay, do you have a question on security?
No, but when
No, I'll
you
rather ask this one before you. Okay, since it's not on security. There's this news making out, although on social media, that the federal government is discouraging states from deploying drones. Is this true?
Well, I'm not aware of that. The drones that we have deployed here in Ekiti have been deployed via the military. We have not requested for permission to use drones directly from the federal government. The military that we entered into partnership with, I suppose they have a direct clearance from the federal government. So we've not encountered that problem. But then it may be necessary for the federal government to approve the use of drones because there's a security implication for that. And you can't just allow an indiscriminate deployment of drones around the country. So how do you know that it's Nigerian institutions deploying them? Anybody could deploy a drone from wherever. I don't want to name any particular country, but it's not impossible for this to happen. So if the Nigerian state is very leery of people doing that without permission, I think it's a sensible position. But then, if states want to use this in order to protect citizens, then there should be accelerated approval of such once there's clear reason for deploying it.
Okay.
yes, I'm sorry to get us back to this issue of areas of emolument. I'm a pensioner, and while the uncle and Mr. Governor talked about it, you are clear that 1 year time lag to clear, but you didn't mention pensioners. That's why, but if I go back to the secretariat, they will say you were there, we didn't hear you speak for us. So I'm speaking for pensioners. Are they included in this 1 year clearing of outstanding of our emoluments? And again, there's this discussion towards the local government and teachers. What's responsible for this?
There is what?
There's a discussion. The local government and teachers are always left behind in the settlement of their salaries or entitlements.
Okay. Thank you for your question. Well, let me say that whilst I did not make the kind of pledge I made to serving workers, to pensioners at the time I made the pledge, it's not to suggest that we will not make every effort to ensure that we clear the arrears of pensioners as well. And as you may be aware, I already deploy every month 100 million naira to clearing gratuity of pensioners, which is critical to them. Beyond the meager pensions that they earn, what is more significant is the gratuity that they're entitled to. And I actually feel that should be our priority as a state, clearing the gratuity so that if they want to do business or they want to travel or just enjoy the remaining period they have a sizable chunk of money that they can utilize to do that. That's my answer to that. As far as local government workers and teachers are concerned, and I believe you're talking about teachers in the primary schools, related teachers. Let me give you a political answer, but also let me give you a factual answer. For us in Ekiti, there's no discrimination. However, I'm actually not in charge of local government. All I do is act as a conduit. The funds for local governments just pass through the states. But these items are supposed to be on first line charge in the local government. So Every month, all the 16 local governments meet with the Ministry of Local Government in what they call a joint allocation committee meeting, JAC. I'm sure you've had that word before, JAC. And that is where they decide what it is that are priorities, having dealt with the first line charge. And first line charge usually include salaries for local government workers, salaries for teachers, salaries for traditional rulers, primary health care, responsibilities, retirees, pensions, all of those things. But what often tends to happen, because the resources in local government is not always adequate, they don't always have enough. State governments come to the rescue of local government. But the impression you get out there, if you read newspapers in Nigeria, is that governors just wake up every morning and they dip their hands into local government funds and do whatever they like with it. It is the most unlikely thing. And I can speak for Ekiti authoritatively. I have never had cause to have anything to do with local government funds, either now or in the past when I was governor in my first term. The challenge is you have people in local government, and some of them are promoting this. You've seen the NFIU statement, the people who are saying money should be paid directly to local government. That's the only way to protect local government funds. The last time money was paid directly to local governments, and that is why you will never find NUT particularly support this agenda, the National Union of Teachers, because they suffer. If you pay money to local government, sometimes those who suffer most are those who are on regular salary. They don't get paid their entitlement. But I think the bigger picture, which we need to all reflect on, is to generate more resources in order to be able to meet the requirements of state. There are those who will tell you that not much goes on in the local government right now. It's like we're just running a social security system, paying people who are already on the payroll of local governments because we don't want to offend people. Not that they are working or doing anything that is tangibly contributing to the economy and social services of the state. So we need to reverse that trend, make local government more responsive to the yearnings of the people at the local level. And we must all work together in order to build a better society. We're not just talking all the time about payment of salaries, entitlements, but services to our people at the local level. Most of those services have been taken over by the states because nothing is happening there. Yet it is the local government that really has responsibility for many of these activities.
This is Meet Your Governor. We are going on a break again. Back to the arm of the government and Your Excellency, we talk about electricity. We talk about most especially that you've not been giving publicity to most of your projects. What do you have to say to this?
I think the challenge, the point about electricity is true, particularly in that axis. Ijon, Iliomoba, Isegba, the axis. We've had quite a major challenge there, but it's not just the challenge brought about by the general lack of electricity in the country. It's also something to do with the relationship between the distribution company that services Ekiti State, that's the Benin Disco, and their customers in that axis. We've held a series of meetings with them, and we have insisted that they should provide meters. And I believe Ode has completed an enumeration exercise, and they've provided bulk meters in Ode. But bulk meters are not necessarily the best because bulk meters end up with flat rates to every household. Yet, if I have more appliances in my household and you have fewer in your household and we're paying the same on a monthly basis, I'm cheating you because I'm using more electricity. And that's why we have insisted to BEDC that they should provide individual meters to this household, because part of the disconnection that has taken place in all those communities mentioned, Ijon, Iluomoba, Aisegba, Agbado, has to do with the fact that people have not paid what BEDC claim that they owe, and there's often contention around what the customers agree that they owe and what BEDC claims that they owe. So we have a task force that we've set up as a state to intervene in this matter, and that task force is working within the confines of the Ministry of Public Utilities and Infrastructure to address this particular issue.
Yes, sir.
On publicity, well, this is a perennial issue that people raise, that I don't give enough publicity to what we're doing, or we don't know what is happening. We can only keep trying. I guess there's a part of it that is true. I probably would have invited Daniel to my office in the past quietly and do whatever I had to do for him without this big noise that has surrounded that particular gesture. If that is what people mean, I agree, but populism must have a purpose. It must not just be something that creates a feel-good image that is not backed up by substance. That is what I have an issue with. Yes, there's a part of me in my first time in office that used to believe that my work should speak for me. I shouldn't go out there and start making noise about, I've just done this or I've done that. I believe that people who experience it should talk about what we have done. But, in life, we also learn lessons. And one of the lessons I've learned is that your work does not always speak for you. You have to do something to make your work known to the wider public. So I take the criticism, and I would try as much as possible to publicize what we're doing.
One of them talked about 5 kilometers.
Absolutely, 5 kilometer road. We were very passionate about 5 kilometer road in the rural areas because of our farm to market program. Many of our local communities where the food is actually produced, they have horrible roads connecting them to the market, particularly to the town centers. And that's what informed the idea behind 5 kilometer road. But we're expanding that now. We have what is called rural access market, rural access to market program. So we are, over the next 2-3 years, constructing about 500 kilometers of road with the support of the World Bank, feeder roads from the farm to the market. So we are not stopping that program, as the gentleman was expressing concern about. We will expand it, and very soon people will start seeing activities in our RAM program, the Rural Access to Agricultural Marketplace program, RAM.
Yes, this is the part where you have the opportunity to call and send messages to the governor for responses. We have somebody online already. Hello, who is that? Mr. Boye.
Yes.
Okay, you're on to the governor.
Good evening.
Yeah, speak loud.
can't hear you.
Hello? Your line is fade. Can you please try the line again?
Hello, Your Excellency.
Okay, we can hear you now.
You are a prince to the whole country. Almighty God, Your Excellency, will continue to bless you. I want to make one observation. During the election period, hello?
Hello.
I'm making an observation.
Please go ahead.
During the election period, hello? I'm part of the protocol committee member. If you could still remember, sir, was a day the Minister for Communications came in. He gave me the phone to talk to you. Asked me, Boye, our minister is safe. But you are surprised. Out of the old protocol committee member, we are only two in the committee members are youth. And we have like over 7 committee members that have been given appointments. And to know that governor believes in the future of the youth, we want you to do something about this, sir. And there is a woman, Mrs. J.I. Atimura, that makes a comment on radio that Fayemi wants to do. A lot of people criticize her that as a Christian, why would she make such a statement? But you know, none of God's words won't go without true. Today, you are opportune to the whole country because you APC, you are true, and to Nigeria entirely, you are a blessing. So I would love if you can locate that woman and appreciate her specially. And if Mrs. J.I. Adibola, CAC or no Ibala, opposite Fayose Market, heaven will bless you. God Almighty will bless you with courage you are using to bless the people. That is the government. The civil servants around my area, they are all smiling. Nobody comes anywhere. When you see them with the money coming from their house, it's a wonderful smiling in their faces. The way you are making the people smile, all your family will never suffer anything in Jesus' name. Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Boye. There is no way government can give appointments to everybody who is deserving of appointments. But I've heard you, and I would look into that particular case of the protocol committee and its members who may still be deserving of appointment and who we have not been able to do anything for. So I hope you will get in touch through the normal channel and we will find what is possible. And if we cannot do anything about appointing you, I'm sure there are other ways you can be useful to the state.
Another call. Hello, who is that?
Hello.
Hello? Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello, Mr. Governor.
How are you, sir?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, I'm happy to listen to your program this evening.
Thank you.
And I just want to commend your effort so far.
Thank you.
And especially, I want to thank you and that you are laying a precedent coming governors to let the people of the people know that paying their salary is not doing them an obligation. But because we know that it is their right. Thank you. That's just my comment.
Thank you.
Any comments to that? We have a message here. It says we are aware of the raw dam water project being funded by the World Bank, and when we will like to know how far with the project.
Well, we're making progress.
Hello, who is
How are
calling
you, sir?
from where?
Okay.
Okay. How are you, sir?
Hi, sir. Èdè ló kí i pé ẹ fi ṣe ọjọ́ sí ọdún mẹ́rin lẹ́nu ẹ fi túbọ̀ yàtọ̀ lè ṣe. Ṣùgbọ́n àwọn ẹ̀fẹ́tì ní ọdún eré ọ̀nà òkè tí bíbọ̀ ṣe ń pè mọ́ ọ̀nà yẹn ti burú sí àṣà àfíìsà gọ́nà. Mo mọ̀ pé ẹ̀yin lẹ́yìn tá máa ṣe gbogbo ẹ tọ́jà fún wa ẹ ṣọ̀rọ̀ fún wa ṣùgbọ́n ọ̀nà yóò ṣe é rí o. A mọ̀ pé ẹ gbà wá sílẹ̀ lọ́dún mẹ́rin tó kọjá náà. Mo mọ̀ wá sílẹ̀ náà lóde o. Kẹ́ lè ṣe ọ̀nà tí bọ̀ ṣe sí òkè sí èèmọ̀. Kí máa fẹ́ lọ sí èèmọ̀. Màá tẹ̀sí mọ́tò lọ sí ìgbà ìṣọ̀kẹ́ kí tó lọ ni mo rọ̀ yín ní o bàbá wa. Torí pé iṣẹ́ gidi rẹ̀ ṣe ní ọkùn adigbọ́nì. Nínú gọ́nà mi ti ní o. Ìjọba iṣẹ́ kú o, gbogbo ìlà iṣẹ́ kú o. Ẹgbẹ́ kan ò kọ́ mi fẹ́ ká ló ló sọ ọ̀rọ̀ látòlè. Ẹ̀ka wa tó lè ṣe wọn máa sáré ní ṣe o.
Comrade, ẹ ṣé. Mo fẹ́ fi dá yín lójú pé kí ọdún yìí tó parí ẹ rí ọwọ́ wa ní òde ìsínbọ̀dé Òmò road. Definitely the road is going to receive attention of government in the shortest possible time.
And Your Excellency, we, the landlord, Fellow Landlord Association request for the replacement of vandalized transformer and fixing of the road that leads to our street opposite Mujin Market Christian Fellowship Mission Road, Adebayo. And this one says, good evening, Mr. Governor. Thanks for giving hopes to the masses, most especially in the educational sector. Sir, what are the plans, policies we have in store to tackle insufficient teachers in our schools?
Good question. We are in the process of recruiting new teachers. We had planned to wait for the session to end, and that process is on, both at the primary school and at the secondary school level. So the person who asked the question should just be patient, and if he is interested in teaching, he should approach SUBEB. I believe SUBEB forms will be out very soon, maybe within the next 2 weeks, and the forms for secondary school teachers recruitment will also be out in the next 2 weeks.
That's all we can take today, but Your Excellency, before we go, we would like you to look straight into that camera and give your final words to the people on this program.
Well, nothing special to say, just to let our people know and to reassure them that we're here to serve them. Help is on the way, and we will continue to do our best to honor the pledge that we've made to restore the values of our people as we have reclaimed the land. Thank you.